Mike D checking in here, man. I wanted to do another group matchup for you guys. A lot of great groups out there, man. I wanted to do 3 6 Mafia and Bone Thugs and Harmony. Now, I kind of looked at this on paper and I was like, you know what? For a lot of people, man, this might be a lot closer than they think. You know what I mean? Well, this is going to be the 10 categories. So, this is how we do it. We're going to go by criteria, right? To see who, should be edged over the other group, if you will. I don't even want to say go to the next round or whatever. There is no round, just conversation. But anyway, I got lyrical ability, group chemistry, production, catalog strength, impact, lyrical content, live performance, commercial success, longevity, and originality. Now, granted, this is going to be a group setting, right? And it's 10 categories. And if we're locked up at five, then we're going to go to the intangibles, which is the 11th category. So, again, these are the categories, or the criteria rather: lyrical ability, group chemistry, production, catalog strength, impact, lyrical content, live performance, commercial success, longevity, and originality. Now, this is gonna be tough for me, man, because both of these groups are two of my favorite groups. I was a huge Bone Thugs and Harmony fan, still am, and I was a huge 3 6 Mafia fan from '96 on. I know people gonna say, "Well, Mystic Styles came out in '95." Yeah, I know, but I'm saying I caught on just a little bit too late because Mystic Styles was a little bit too independent at the time. But anyway, here we go. Lyrical ability. Like I said, I'm gonna try to be objective. Two of my favorite groups. Lyrical ability, I'm giving that one to Bone. I think that Bone had the rapid fire lyricists. They had a busy Bone, a crazy Bone, who I think were top of the top. I think that even when we're talking about all time, rappers at that time specifically, just based on skill set, very underrated, as lyricists. Busy always had a message in what he was doing. Even, people couldn't totally understand it. And it takes lyricists to make a first of the month, a Crossroads remix. Um, Thuggish Ruggish Bone, For the Love of Money. I mean, come on. Lyrical ability goes to Bone. Group chemistry. I'm going with Bone on that too. And that's tough to say because you got DJ Paul and Juicy J with their chemistry, as a part of that group, production wise, production team. But Bone was harmonizing, man. You know what I'm saying? And Bone Thugs and Harmony, they came with harmonies, and you have to have a lot of group chemistry to do that. You could hear the group chemistry in a Buddha Lovers, you know what I'm saying, and a Bud Smokers Only. The way they would bounce off of each other was really the nucleus to how great Bone Thugs and Harmony was as a group, and why people are so happy to see all of them in one place at one time because of the group chemistry. One could argue that, Busy was kind of off doing his thing a lot of times, and that could impact the chemistry. But if we're looking at 3 6 Mafia, to be perfectly honest, I mean, it started off with Paul and Infamous. They were something else, but it wasn't 3 6 Mafia until it was Paul, Infamous, and Juicy J. Then, here comes Gangsta Boo Coopsta and Crunchy Black. But then once we get to 66, 61, you don't have Coopsta anymore. Then Gangsta Boo is no longer in the group, and this is why everyone's still alive. And then, Lord Infamous, and then you got Crunchy Black, and then the six goes down to two. So yeah, group chemistry goes to Bone. Production. I don't even know if that's a conversation, man. That's 3 6 Mafia all the way. I mean, do I need to even go into detail about that? Production's 3 6. 3 6 gets that category. Strength of catalog. I'm gonna go with 3 6 Mafia once again, because not only has their catalog aged so incredibly well with, the current generation utilizing their music so much, you have all the mixtapes, you have the underground 3 6, and then you got the mainstream 3 6 Mafia. Then you have like the Profit Posse stuff, which is different. That's not counting the individual group, but they made mixtapes before Mystic Styles. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, the catalog is very, very strong. So yeah, 3-6 Mafia. I'm going with that. And I think they were better longer too, to be perfectly honest. After Art of War, things kind of tapered off for Bone, even though Resurrection was a dope album. Um, was it Resurrection? Yeah. It was after, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. It was after Art of War, but they kind of tapered off. Whereas 3-6 Mafia, you can't really say the same thing. Even if they tapered off from an album making standpoint, they still had notable records on their releases. So, Impact. Oh boy. I wrestled with this for a long time because it could be said that the impact that Bone Thugs and Harmony had on the game is still here. If we're talking about harmonizing, what rappers are doing now, as far as they're harmonizing, they're flowing, and even the flowing that we saw from R&B singers, from not Mary J. Blige, Mariah Carey, you know, uh, Beyonce on Bugaboo, and moving forward on other things. I mean, those are direct reflections of the impact of Bone Thugs and Harmony. But on the flip side, the production impact that 3-6 Mafia has had on trap music, its current generation, and I'm gonna be perfectly honest, man, they are the founders of crunk music to me. Now, I'm sure locally, you could say DJ Squeaky, Zerk and all of that, but they put crunk on their back and made it a thing. And Tear the Club Up is iconic. Tear the Club Up, in my opinion, gives us Nuck If You Buck, and I feel like Nuck If You Buck gives us things like Young Chop and Chief Keef. I don't like Maurice, and also the Migos flow. The people call the Migo flow. That's Lord Infamous's flow. I feel like Lord Infamous, is the father of that flow. I never heard anybody rhyme like that before. And I think the person that he directly influenced is Lil J, that was on Crime Mob, and I feel like Crime Mob was the direct influence to Takeoff, who kind of adapted that flow, and it became the Migo flow. So, saying all that to say, Impact goes to 3-6 Mafia. Both incredibly impactful groups, but I think that 3-6's impact is greater, and it got greater later. If you would have asked me that maybe 15, 20 years ago, I definitely would have said Bone. But the fact that 3-6 continues to be impactful, that says a lot. So they get that one. Whew, that was tough. Lyrical content. I'm giving that one to Bone. I think Bone touched on a lot more lyrically, spoke about um, a lot more in their music. If I could teach the world and things like that, 3-6 has songs like Motivation. They tried to do those things, but I think from a consistent basis, even the song that Bone had with Phil Collins, man, lyrical content, I'm gonna go with Bone on that. Live performance, that's 3-6 Mafia to me. One could say that, yeah, Bone Thugs and Harmony does the Harmony Live and all that. And you got the MTV Awards, and performance and things of that nature. But 3-6 Mafia shut clubs down. And, what we see in Travis Scott today, the building blocks of that is 3-6 Mafia and their live performances. They, and I could have said this during the production thing, but the production thing wasn't even a conversation. What gives 3-6 Mafia a great edge, especially when we're talking about live, the group is comprised of two DJs, DJ Paul and Juicy J. And being a DJ, you have an advantage. You understand what makes people move and what gets people moving. You understand how to sequence a show and put shows together and have incredible live performances. So yeah, I'm giving that one to 3-6. Commercial success. I think that's Bone. Straight up. I mean, you're not gonna find too many bigger records than East 1999 and 95. And what Art of War was able to do and how big the song Crossroads remix was, man. Like, yeah, that commercial success, that's Bone. Sorry. Longevity, man. Um, it's funny, they all started off around the same time. Bone had their breakups and reunions. 3-6, same thing. I think their longevity is gonna have to be judged by um, how active the individuals are and how well the music aged. And if that's the case, I'm gonna go 3 6 Mafia. I mean, Juicy J was able to rebrand himself, and I know that's solo stuff, but even when if I say Dr. Dre, even when DJ Paul brought together the Mafia Six about 10 years ago, right before Lord Infamous passed, um, they were right at it, and the sound was heavy still, man, and that stuff was as good as anything that you would get from them in the '90s. So yeah, I'm gonna go longevity, 3 6 Mafia. Originality. This is what they had beef about. Oh man, originality. Both incredibly original types of groups in their own right. 3 6 to me is an offshoot of NWA and Beasties sonically. But they did their own thing with it. And they got six different voices and six different approaches to what they did musically. But to me, what Bone did, especially East 1999. And you know what? No, forget that. Of course that. But I remember the first time we heard Thuggish Ruggish Bone. I was in seventh grade. We're like, what is this? We never heard anything like it. Never heard anybody rap like that. Never heard the harmonies, and even though they didn't really do the harmonies on that song, but we picked up "Creeping on the Come Up" and was hearing that. It's like, what is this, man? And I remember hearing Bone on the Points, that posse cut that was on the Black Panther soundtrack, the first Black Panther, about the Black Panther Party, not the Marvel character. But I had to learn every word. For the Love of Money was crazy. First of the month was crazy. And East 1999, I never heard anything like it in my life. And I'm like, how did these guys come up with this? And then the harmonization and all of that. Okay, I don't want to go on a tangent. Originality, I'm going with Bone Thugs and Harmony. I have to. One of the most original groups ever, regardless if you're into their style or not. But originality, you got to give them that. Okay, let me go back down. I hope we don't have another tie, man. The reason why we're getting these ties is because these matchups are good matchups. You know what I mean? This isn't calculated. Look, I think it is a tie. Lyrical ability bone, group chemistry bone, production 3 6. Okay, 2 1. Catalog strength 3 6. Impact 3 6. Lyrical content bone. Performance 3 6. Commercial success bone. Yeah. Longevity 3 6 and originality bone. Let me know any of the categories you think that, I flubbed up and, that should go to the other party. All right. If we're going intangibles, man, I'm gonna keep this short. Intangibles, I gotta go 3 6 Mafia, man. Um, again, inventors of crunk music. If we look at what music sounds and looks like today, got to be honest about ourselves. If that group doesn't exist, things are very different. I know Lil Jon just got on the Breakfast Club, and he wouldn't even. I don't know why he would skirt around the notion that 3 6 started crunk music and basically made crunk music. But even if you think about what John was doing in the early 2000s, you think about him working with Usher on Yeah and all of that stuff. Like, it doesn't happen without 3 6 Mafia doing what they did in the way that they did it. And I just think that I'm going to be honest, man. I'm a huge fan of both of the groups. But if I'm being objective here, we're talking about a group with two DJs in it, a female MC with Gangsta Boo, coming out of Memphis, Tennessee, somebody with a flow like a Lord Infamous that groups caught on to, let's just say the Migos, and a whole different generation gravitated to his flow. And somebody as different as Coopsta and somebody who's like Crunchy Black for entertainment, man, I gotta say that 3 6 is just the better, I would say is the better group in that light. So I'm just gonna have to give the edge from an intangible standpoint to 3 6 Mafia. That was very painful, guys, because I'm a big fan of both of these groups, man. I don't know what to say, man. Hit like and subscribe. Let me know what y'all didn't agree with on this. And Yeah, Imma see y'all next time. Let me know what other groups you want me to do, man. I already got a rough draft of some other groups and MCs lined up, but man, that was tough.